Hello and welcome back to the Heartbeat Photography channel. So I did a portrait session with a professional dancer and model the other day. In this video we're going to break down my shot selection, what I liked about the pictures, what I wish I could do next time that I go into shooting with a model, and just my general feedback from the portrait session. So if you've not had a chance to check out my first video on the channel about my thoughts on the wedding that I recently did, make sure to go check that out. I will link it below or it will come up on the screen at the end of the video. Location wise, we went to Anglers Country Park. This is somewhere that I walk around quite often. It's in Wakefield in the United Kingdom, unfortunately to anyone watching abroad. But yeah, it's close to where I live, so it's an easy to get to location. And Anglers Country Park, sorry, there's two parts to it. There's one big main lake, and then there's like a woodland area which is slightly further down, like a little mud track, and there's a few fields which separate it. For this occasion and for this shoot, I wanted to use more of the woodland scenery rather than the lake setting. This was due to the model having a new dark green jumper that they wanted to wear, and I wanted to use this opportunity to get some portraits and also get some like test product shots. So it wasn't a paid gig or anything from the company that is what she was wearing on her top, Lucy and Yak, even though if you would like to sponsor me, send me a message please. Kidding. But yeah, I just wanted to start getting some content of stuff that I could offer to brands, so that then you can take that portfolio to a brand being like, look, this is what I've done. If you like it, hire me. If you don't, no worries, sort of thing. So it's a dark green jumper and she's wearing blue jeans. So if we'd gone against the water, I felt that it might just been too contrasting in colour, in the colours, and also the blue of the jeans might get a little bit lost in the blue of the water. Not that water in the United Kingdom is very blue when you go to a park, but okay. With it also being autumn in the UK, a lot of the leaves on the trees are starting to like yellow and brown, so I thought that would be a really nice contrast to the dark green on her body, and then that other lighter, more browny yellow colours in the background. So that was another reason to why I wanted to go into the woodland section rather than the open water part. This first picture that we're going to break down, so what is it I was after within this picture? So I've watched a couple of videos recently on people breaking down how they kind of get that like blurriness in and around the image, which isn't necessarily just bokeh from the lens. So I dropped the shutter speed down, I can't remember exactly what I dropped it down to off the top of my head. But then by that I added a little bit of movement into the camera as I pressed that button. And because I'd closed that shutter speed down, it meant that less light was able to enter the frame and allow me to get this nice like motion into the picture. Now, if I was to retake this image, I'd want the subject to be a little bit sharper than it is. So potentially I'd adjust that shutter speed again, or I'll try and get that focus fully locked in onto her in that foreground. Now, I'm really happy. This is the first time I've ever played around with settings like this on taking a picture, and for like a first attempt, I'm pretty happy with how it came out. In like a slightly contrast, I did want to get some like portrait pictures to help with the client's portfolio as well. Being a dancer, they sometimes need just like a headshot style photo. So this client, this next picture is more of a headshot style rather than just like something that the brand could use. In this photo, you can see that the model is centered nicely, and then like I mentioned earlier, I've got like that greeny, yellowy, browny of the leaves and grass in the background. This picture you could technically use as a product shot, however, it's not the intention behind it necessarily. Like, yes, the product is centered and it is very clear what the main focus of the picture is, being that jumper, but then also it gives that like outdoors, professional kind of look with the model smiling, with her being the main focus point and not really worrying about too much what is in the background. Which often when you're taking a headshot, you want that model to be that main focus point. They are basically paying you to get a picture which makes them look the best they can look, and you need that in the front of the camera. So you don't want too much behind, you don't want anything going on in front, and you need the model to be the focus of the picture, which on that picture that we just looked at, that was the case. Changing up the location now. So for this next location, the lighting setting changed quite dramatically. We went into the woods, and by doing that, it meant a lot of like the natural light was shut off. Luckily, we were on a bridge, and the middle point of the bridge, there was like a little gap in the tree, so some light was coming through in that position. So I got the model to stand in the middle of that gap. I then lined up the shot, getting her to place one foot on the wall just to then lean that weight into the wall, and we can then just start playing around with body positioning rather than just having the model stood directly like upright on 2 feet, just trying to contrast it, add a little bit of flavour to the image. And as you can probably see, the greens are a lot more dominant in this picture. That is mainly due to the shadows being more prevalent because we are under a lower light, so it's a slightly dimmer setting. But then I also really like the colours and the colour contrast of this one. So you've got the dark green on her top, but then you've also got that like lighter green in the background. Now this is one of the pictures that I got it on to my editing software, Affinity Photo, and it looked perfectly exposed on my camera, but then I got it into the editing software and it looked like it's a completely different image. So let me know in the comments, if you're using a S5, do your pictures look different when you get it from your camera into your editing software? It looked like it'd been taken off two different cameras, sorry. So yeah, back to the picture. I was really happy with this one, how it came out. If I was to retake it, I'd potentially move the model across to the left ever so slightly, just to make sure they're fully centered, and potentially lower the shot slightly so that there's less of a gap between the top of her head and the top of the photo, and then the bottom of her shoe and the bottom of the photo. This next shot, I wanted to capture the model in a different level. So I wanted the model to be above me and me be below, so I can get a nice picture of the product in the center of the picture, but then also get a flattering image of the model. Now, something that I've experienced when you're taking pictures at different angles of people, especially when you're coming from underneath, you have to be really careful of how you place that model's face, because if you're not getting everything lined up nicely, it's gonna make their face look more round than it actually is, which can sometimes give off the impression that someone has a chubbier face, which isn't always the case on the person, or it might be the case that the face isn't actually that shape, but sometimes it can then lead the subject or the model to look a little bit, I don't want to say disformed, but they don't look like their true self, which when you're capturing someone's picture, you want them to look like their true self rather than a distorted image. So with this, we've got that nice shape in the face, we've got the product lined up in the center perfectly, and then we've got that nice contrast in the two green colors of the jumper, and then that lighter shade of green in the background. So I'm really happy with this picture. These last collection of photos are probably my favorite from the whole shoot. So we found this gate, and the top of the gate archway had a gap, and my creative brain and the creativeness inside me, like, it was like someone had just set off the alarm and it was just going crazy. Now, I've seen lots of pictures where people capture the subject through another object. So if you often get like a circle, you can then line up your camera to capture the subject in the middle of the circle. You get a bit of the circle in the picture, so you get some blurriness in the foreground, and then your subject that is technically in the background in this picture is what is in focus. So for these next pictures, I set myself up one side of the gate so I can get part of the arch at the top of the gate in the shot, and then the model, she stood the other side of the gate, and then I gave her direction of where to stand within that proximity to allow her to be in the centre or slightly off the centre for the artistic approach of that picture, and then gave the directions of where I want the eyeline to be, where I'm after her to look, but then also just letting her move through the space naturally. Now, I'm also a massive sucker for a black and white image. If I could only shoot black and white for everything I do, I 100% would. To me, there's just something about it. I just like there to be not much colour in a lot of my photos, even though there are 2 shades of black and shades of white in picture that is on screen. But yeah, there's just something about black and white that I'm always drawn to it. So if you were to show me 2 pictures, one black and white, one coloured, I'd automatically just naturally stray to the black and white image. So that was a little insight into the portrait session that I did with model Jennifer the other day. Let me know your thoughts on the pictures in the comments. And if you like this video, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe for more content just like this, and make sure you hit the bell notification so you know whenever a new video goes out. Until next time, peace out, get out, take some pictures, and enjoy yourself while you do it.